Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Crimson Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Tropp, alongside Ben Balian, and today we have our wonderful principal, Dr. Neigel, here joining us in the studio. Is this your first time in the actual studio, sitting down with the
headphones on? Yeah, with the cameras rolling.
Yeah,
absolutely.
How's it feel?
It feels good. Not too intimidating. I'm happy to be here. I've admired this space from afar, but it's good to be on the podcast.
All right.
What have you guys been waiting for? I've been asking for it. Just kidding. Just kidding.
So if you're walking around the halls of BHS right now, sitting at the lunch table talking with your friends, one of the biggest topics around the school is the phone and technology ban that was put into place this year to an extent and is going to be developed further next year. So we wanted to get Dr. Neigel on here to get some clarity for students, teachers, parents, anyone who wants to know what's actually happening next year, what's going on. So I think we'll just start with, where is this policy coming from? Like, where is it from?
Yeah, it's a good question. So for this year, the changes that we made were school-based, right? We saw the need to tighten up the cell phones a little bit here at Bernards High School. So the changes with the phone hotels in the classroom during academic time, that was something that we thought was important. So that was a step that we chose to take. At that time, we didn't know that the state was going to advise us to go a little bit further. Governor Murphy recently signed into law student use of internet-enabled devices guidance, basically saying to prepare schools for next year. So in one way, it was good that we took the step that we did to get a little bit more strict. That's been really well received. I know the students don't love things like that, changes that we had to put into place. But as far as the teachers go, they really have seen an increase in student focus in the classroom, less disruptions, less distractions, less time out of class because students don't have their phones, so they're not in the bathroom as long. So that's been a positive step. I was a little surprised to see the state kind of get involved and say we need to go a step further. The initial guidance that we're seeing, we'll talk more into this in a minute, is that we're looking bell to bell from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. So that's something that Ridge High School endeavored last year. They have a ban for the entire day, so no lunch, no passing, no study hall. Obviously, you guys know our procedures, our policy is that we do allow it during passing, we do allow it during study hall, we do allow it during lunch. But if the ban comes through by the state, our current procedures would not adhere to what I think is their guidance, and there's a little dispute there. We'll see about that. So this is coming from the state. So the state creates law, then policy from the board level has to follow that law. So right now we're trying to get clarification on what exactly that law says, but it's looking like there's a possibility that our current procedures aren't stringent enough.
Yeah, so let's talk about that policy that we said, kind of says two separate things within a couple paragraphs. So there's two quotes that I want to get at. First, at a minimum, schools must prohibit the use of personal internet-enabled devices during the entirety of the school day for students in kindergarten through grade 12, and this is directly from nj.gov. This is the official information. And the second quote is, determine if the school district prefers to adopt a bell-to-bell ban policy or one that limits use during the school day. And now what I'm assuming is that what we have right now where students are allowed to be on their phone during passing time, during lunch, study halls, that's limiting your phone usage. What the other quote is saying is that they're not allowed whatsoever. If a teacher sees one out, regardless of what class you're in, whether you're in the media center, the upper gym, cafeteria, whatever it may be, they're allowed to take it. So where do you stand as far as if, say, the second quote is accurate, will we continue to see the policy that we have now, or do you plan to tighten it up even more?
It's a great question. Right now, it's kind of a two-part answer. Right now, we're planning for a bell-to-bell because that would be the most change, right? That would be we would have to do some different things, change some procedures, change some enforcement ideas of how we're going to communicate that to students. So we're planning for that. Your question specifically was, what will we do if the state, in fact, does give us that leeway? That's a conversation I've had with Dr. Brochel. I know he's talking to the Board of Education about it. I'm not sure. I'm not necessarily convinced that and a ban for the entirety of the school day is necessary. I strongly believe during instructional time, academic time, they should be off and away. I could even be convinced that study hall, right? Study hall, we should be studying. Yes, it's a downtime. I want some communication, some social, right, with your friends. But you're taking a study hall because you have a lot of work to do, and we should be getting work done there. So I could be easily convinced that study hall, cell phones should be away. And we talk about cell phones. Really, it says internet-enabled devices, which personal, that gets into a kind of different subset there. Lunch is the one where I don't know how I feel personally, right? Like
I know how I feel.
I know. You guys are young adults, and I can tell you right now, banning something and saying you can't do it doesn't mean that you're fixing the problem. For example, my son, I have a freshman in high school. He was in middle school. Middle schools have bans. They don't use it the entire day. And I agree with that, right? I don't think it's necessary at that time. But what's the first thing he does when he gets home after school?
Straight to the phone.
Straight to his phone. And if I don't limit it, he's going to be on it all night. So not having it in school doesn't necessarily teach him how to live with it, operate with it, restrict his own use. And I think at the high school level, there's a conversation to be had that what's better for a student, to restrict it or ban it, or to have them kind of work with it and understand and work with their peers and be like, yo, I'm talking to you. Are you in your phone? Like, what are you doing? Leave some space for that as opposed to saying you can't use it at any time. I'm sure you guys, communicate with your parents. My son does that too. Text me about his math grade or whatever it is. I see a lot of students doing it during lunch or playing games on their phone, but they're actually doing it with each other. So it is social to some extent.
Right.
So I don't know how I feel about lunch. I wouldn't say I'm adamantly opposed. Could we do it? And would you all be okay? Yeah, you'd be fine. The students at Berners High School would comply. You guys would figure it out. You always do. I just don't know if it's worth it, right? Is there value in that? Are we really achieving something worthwhile, or are we kind of inconveniencing students and not necessarily having the right conversation and treating them like young adults to be able to be discretionary and say, here's why we're doing it? So could we do it? Yes. Do I think it absolutely is necessary? Probably not.
And then how are you enforcing? Like, what does it look like when I come into school with my phone in my hand?
Yeah.
Am I putting it in a pocket?
Right.
Is it forced to be in my bag? Are we bringing it from class to class and still putting it in the phone pouches? Like, what goes on from there?
So the state says you could either have a locked pouch system, a school locker or a bin system, in-class storage stations, or student storage. I don't know what we would do. I think, and that's a good conversation to have, is let's say I say you have to have it. I think Ridge says it has to be in your backpack, right? Or it has to be in your locker. It can't be out, you can't be out. If I say that, I don't know where your phone is. And I'm not going to ask you, hey, Ben, where's your phone today? Where are you keeping it? I'm not going to stop every student at the door other than say good morning. If you have it in your pocket, I then don't know that you have your phone on you. So let's say you leave class, you have your phone, you're in the bathroom, we have limited ability to supervise in the bathroom for obvious reasons. You may have your phone. Whereas now we have a system where I know where your phone is, because when you walk into class, you finish your text message in the hallway, you're on time to class, you put your phone, and then you got that 56 minutes to study. So I see in some ways it's an unanticipated negative that you're getting as opposed to our system right now. So we wouldn't be able to afford or to have the manpower to do like the Yonder pouches. I don't know if you guys have seen those, where you have to come in and lock it away, or to do like a bin storage. I mean, we already have enough problems with students arriving late to school. I really don't want to create more of an educational, instructional disruption than we currently have. So I think we would go with the idea of, I guess, student storage, right? But I think there are unanticipated consequences of having student storage. And so that's where I'm anxious to hear. We've asked for guidance as to which policy we have to adhere to, because I think just saying, oh, we banned them, they're off and away, well, that doesn't mean that that's actually working the way that you intended it. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I have another question to piggyback on
Sure.
that, though. Say you start with the student storage method and you realize that that's not working and students are finding a way around it because it's in their backpack, it's on their body. If they're hiding in some random corner of the hallway where there's no administration or someone to
Right.
tell them what they're doing is wrong,
Right.
can you go to the state and say, hey, we need relief? And if you do that, are they obligated to send you maybe bins or the yonder pouches? Because then it's almost on the state to really enforce their policy.
It's a great question. We call those unfunded mandates, where the state says, you must do this, and we're not giving you any money to do so. There are sometimes grants available. We'll see if that happens, that we could apply for those. But again, I don't know that it's just a financial thing. It's also, we're a smaller school. We don't have, an administrator for every grade level. We don't have 10 security guards, who could do something like that in the morning. So I suppose we could say that, but the state may come back and say, if that doesn't work, find a different way. They could say you have in-class storage stations, but I think that would be a little bit odd to then not have your phone all day, but put it in the storage and then take it out, but then put it away.
And not allowed to be on it when you're in the halls.
Right. It seems a little counterintuitive, but I guess we could pivot and do something like that. So we'll have to monitor and adjust if we're asked to do that. I think what's going to happen is, we'll have to enforce it pretty strongly at the beginning. Let's say we have to go to the bell-to-bell. If we catch students on it, we're going to take it away and we're going to confiscate it. And we could do confiscate with parent pickup and inconvenience folks. It's going to be a lot of work. It's not that we can't or won't or not willing to do it. I try to be really thoughtful, and you guys know that we talk a lot about what we do here. I try to be really thoughtful about what we do and see is there value in the effort. It feels like it might be a little bit of wasted time for, in the end, I do understand trying to educate students about screen time, internet use, appropriate behavior. But again, enforcing a ban, I'm not sure that the means justify the end there, or the end justify the means, excuse me.
Yeah, I think let's pivot to something else. And another big topic along the same lines is are MacBooks going to be banned, other computers outside of district Chromebooks? And if so, you talked about the financial aspect already. Is the district prepared to purchase Chromebooks for every student?
We're working on it. It's tough. We would need to do that, right? Because it wouldn't be fair to have some students with Chromebooks and the ability, or with MacBooks and the ability to message or access things that Chromebooks can't. So we're working on that. It's going to be tough financially because I'd say right now we've got probably about half the students have Chromebooks from the district, and the other half bring their own devices. But this says, personal use of internet-enabled personal devices. So that to me, MacBook would fall under that category. So we're trying to see if we can get ready to do that. That would be, and there's also added benefits to that. Then a teacher has the ability to say, okay, everyone's on the same Chromebook. They can then put up and just say, okay, I'm going to control your Chromebooks. I'm going to put this web page up, or I'm going to show you guys all the same thing. Put everybody on the same setup or the same network. So there are advantages to that. Testing, it makes it a lot easier too for us to do testing. But it does limit student flexibility. So we're in the process right now of seeing if we can do that. It doesn't give us a lot of time. One budget cycle is not easy for something like that because Chromebooks are not cheap. But we're hopeful that we'll be able to do it. We're going to see.
And then would it be the same type of Chromebook for every student, or will there be, because I know we have a lot at the school right now, but maybe the ones that we order are different. Yeah. How do you ensure that that's fair for everyone?
That's tough for technology. I don't know that it would be fair for everyone, right? Because at some point you kind of cycle through. You can't order. We're about 700 right now. It would be 650 next year, ballpark number of students. You're not going to have 650 of the exact same age, model, processing speed Chromebooks. So I think we try to, but it also depends on what's in stock, right? What's available. And then you're going to have some, try to cycle them through. And so you say, okay, the seniors, how many years of use do they have on them? And they turn them back to us. Can we give them to the freshmen, or do they need to be cycled through? Do we use the other schools? It's a process that takes a little bit of thought and planning. So as we get more towards it, that's really like a one-to-one model. I think we're going to have to be thoughtful about how we do that because it's never going to be fair as in everybody has the exact same quality. We would try to. I think we should have a standard on what we buy, but sometimes they'll discount. This model's discounted, and we can get 200 of these for a certain price. As schools are not cash flush right now. It's a tough time. Things are lean, so we got to do the best we can with the resources that we have.
All right.
Yeah, and then one last thing to kind of wrap this whole conversation up. How do you feel about the policy that's in place for this year? What kind of feedback have you received, and just things along that line?
Yeah, I feel really good about it. I've talked to students about it. I know that Students don't love it, but they're like, we got it. Like, it's fair. We understand it.
Makes sense.
It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And I that's where I come from. Is I want to come from a place of, does it make sense why we're doing this? Does it feel overly punitive, or is it reasonable? And that's kind of what the feedback I got from students. Staff feel like it's going really well. I think they feel more supported, that they can say, okay, this is what we're being asked to do. This is where your phone goes. I'm going to enforce it, but the administration is supporting it. We didn't do this in years past because there was a little bit of gray area in terms of, if a staff member asked you to put your cell phone there, were they taking responsibility for your cell phone? So if something happened to your phone, whose responsibility was it? So I felt like it was important for the district to say, no, we support this. We will then cover, the buildings to say, this is our policy, this is our procedure. And I do feel like it's working. I feel like we're seeing, now we have students signing into the bathrooms, and we're seeing actually shorter visits to the bathrooms because there's no reason to hang out in the bathrooms. They're bathrooms, as opposed to being on your cell phone, checking TikTok or whatever it might be. So I think it's been a positive shift. And that's why it makes, to kind of like come back to the beginning of this, that's why it makes this hard. If it were not working, I'd be like, well, clearly this isn't working. Let's pivot to a more restrictive way. But we try to be just restrictive enough to make sure that we're prioritizing instruction and education. But I respect students. This has to be like a happy place to come to school. I want you guys to feel comfortable coming here, feel like you have some voice, some autonomy, that you don't have administration and teachers who are just doing things to be punitive. And so that's where I struggle when they come down from the state and say, like, there's no, like, where's the student voice in this? Like, I like to work through the students and say, well, what do you think is fair? Give me your feedback, as opposed to the state just saying, we're going to do this because we know what is right. I mean, they can, and they have to some extent, but that's not typically how we like to do things here, because I think that the more voices you have in a decision, the better decision you can make.
All right. I think that's enough of our technology talk. It's time to get on to the more important things in the world, like college basketball.
There we go. Now we're talking.
So when we were setting up this podcast to do with Dr. Neigel, he suggested that we have a little portion where we talk some college basketball. Big controversy in college basketball right now with former professional players returning, whether they played in the European circuits or in the G League, returning to play college basketball and taking another year of eligibility. So I'm just curious to see, like, what's your perspective on that? Like, what do you think?
So I've kind of embraced the NIL model. Like, I'm okay with that. I think it's been a long time where players should be paid. They're making so much money for the university. So I get that it is kind of semi-pro basketball at this point. But there needs to be a definitive line when someone leaves college, enters the NBA draft. Like, there needs to be a clear black and white cutoff that you're no longer eligible.
I thought, like, letters of intent to join the NBA draft would say X player forgoes his last year of college eligibility to enter the NBA draft. And I don't know. I think the NIL is good to an extent. I think the transfer portal is good to an extent. And as of late, it's just been taken advantage of by every single player. They're realizing now, like James Neigel, he wasn't making any money in the G League, whatever overseas circuit he was playing on. If he goes back to college and he strikes up some good NIL sponsorships, he's going to be making more money. It's turning into just another professional league, essentially.
It is, and I'm okay with that with the right age group, right? Like coming out of high school. But like, there's a guy now I saw today, 25 years old. He's like, my recruitment's open. I'm like, you're 25, man.
Exactly.
Like, you go play overseas if you want to do that, but college is college. I think that there needs to be a commissioner or a governing board. I think the NCAA, there has to be something. There's too much money involved. There's too many rulings. We're going to the different judges. Judges are putting injunctions in. Like, why isn't there a governing body? The NFL works because Roger Goodell has the final say.
Right.
And I think that there needs to be a governing body that is strong for even if it's for football, it's for football. If it's for basketball. It doesn't have to be one for everything. Make it by leagues, but there has to be somebody who says no, that is not happening, and then you want to appeal it. There's a process there. I think that needs to happen because right now it just makes no sense. Like, Charles Bediako's playing this weekend. We're waiting on a judge. Like, what? Who's waiting on their bench somewhere? Like, where are they hearing this case, and why am I waiting on that judge as opposed to like a commissioner?
Right.
And then there's the situation in college football with Trinidad Chambliss, the Ole Miss quarterback who was granted eligibility, then he wasn't, then he was, then he wasn't. Now he has it again from some random judge. He's playing his 6th year of college football, but that's not even official because it has to go back to the NCAA. It's a mess.
It is a
mess.
mess.
It's a mess, and it's it hasn't happened in football where a professional player has come back. I think that's just because football is football. There's really only the NFL.
But why not?
Right.
When the
Yeah.
NFL rosters are tight, where does it end?
If you're an undrafted rookie who signed a practice squad deal and you're not going to make the Miami Dolphins,
Right.
Right.
we're
Why
going
not?
to the U. Like, why not?
And maybe it doesn't happen in football because they play more years. And
Right.
They have to be developed more than basketball, where you
Yeah.
play a year, declare
And
for
you
the
can
draft,
one and
then
done.
come back. Yeah,
Yeah.
you come back. But again, I'm a University of Virginia fan. That's where I went to school. And so our entire roster this year, there's not a single guy who played on the team last year. And I'm okay with that. Like, I've embraced that. It's a whole new team.
Right.
It's okay. It is what it is. But there has to be a line where we say, okay, this is college basketball. I'm okay with the NIL. Transfers, I think they need to tighten that up a bit too. I think there should be a contract, maybe 2 years, something like that. Make it a little bit longer so you don't have quite the one and done and done and done.
Right.
I just think that there has to be a governing body that's enforcing rules.
For sure.
The problem is everything right now is too new. We're still in the infancy of NIL and the transfer portal, and the fact that everyone has these COVID years. It seems like COVID was like 2 years, but everyone can take 4 separate COVID years. It's in 2026. It was half a
Here's
decade
my big
ago.
question though: has it weakened the product?
No.
I know,
No, that's
right?
the problem.
So much
That's
better.
the worst thing.
Yeah.
It's so good. I love college football. I love college
Right.
basketball. I'm not watching the NBA more.
Yeah.
Right.
I love the game, and so we're taught. The talking heads are all talking about this, but in the end, the product is still good.
Yeah.
You're going to get a great weekend this weekend. We've got
It's amazing.
Arizona
Yeah.
versus Houston
Yeah.
and Michigan versus Duke, and I'm going to be on the couch watching those games. I'm fired up, but at the same time, I feel like there needs to be some rules in place because it just feels wrong.
Yeah. And the other aspect of it is from a recruitment standpoint, coaches have stopped recruiting out of high school and instead they're going to
100%.
these JUCO,
Yeah,
NAIA, Division III, even Division I mid-major schools,
Yeah, you're 100%
and they're poaching all the talent from there. So for high school students, I think going D3 or JUCO, it might be the route at this point, and then you transfer to whatever that Division I school after, because that's just the way things are shifting to.
Why take a boy when you can go get a man? Right.
Right.
You go get a 25-year-old grown man, or you
Yeah.
take an 18-year-old boy who's
Just a physical difference.
just such
Yeah.
a difference, right? But that's, to me, what's wrong there as a high school principal. You think about, okay, you're going to college next year. Do you want to go to college thinking, I'm going to go to college for 1 year and then transfer?
Right.
You're going for an education. You make friends. You love an area. I hate that maybe you have to have, how many stops do you need to have to be successful these days? These guys aren't going 1, 2 stops. They're going 3,
Yeah.
4 stops, and then you're like, what does that do to a college experience for a kid, right? You then make a bunch of good friends at your D3 school, right? You go to Tufts, you tear it up there, but only to transfer. I just don't love that. I don't think it's what's best for a kid or a young adult,
And in a lot of ways, I feel like it's killed the mid-major. And in March Madness last year, right, which I think was some of the best basketball I've seen in the March Madness. Who were the Final Four teams? All of the
top
one
4
seeds.
seeds.
And it was amazing, and they were great games. But you're not going to see as many upsets because the magic runs of the Florida Gulf Coast University, those guys are on
They're gone.
an SEC
They're gone.
school
Yeah, you're
now. They're
100%.
not there.
Yeah.
They're never going to be there.
Although
So-
Miami's still undefeated. They're
Yeah.
Miami,
to run
Ohio,
the
yeah.
MAC. Miami of Ohio
They
is still
are.
undefeated, number 24. But you're right. That entire roster then gets picked apart because that school doesn't have the NIL budget. And that's what it comes down to, is how much money. You can go from pretty bad to pretty good quickly.
Really quick.
I mean, UVA did that in football with a $30 million budget.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go buy players. Which, again, there's some parity there, but the mid-majors are who loses out. You're exactly right.
There's so much turnover as far as rosters go in college sports as it is just with seniors graduating, incoming freshmen, things like that. If you add a whole nother element, because it's a recruitment class and a transfer portal class, you're bringing in so many impact players each year outside of the guys that you're recruiting from high schools. And like I said, you're not really recruiting from high schools. A lot of these schools aren't anymore. But you have the ability, if you're, whatever it is, your donors want to spend the money to bring in a stacked class of freshmen, but also go get the top talent available in the transfer portal. So there's just so many different ways to improve a roster. Now, like you said, it is improving the quality of play vastly, But March Madness, it's not the same anymore.
Yeah.
No, it's not the same. And again, could a governing body say you could have, you get 7 recruits, you get 7 scholarships, but then you get transfer portal? Like they could do that. They could say you get transfer portal, but you only get 3 for 1 year. You have 3 for 2 years. But there's nobody saying that. So I think that there is a middle ground that we haven't explored yet. I don't know if we'll get there. I don't know how they situate that, but I would like that. I think I'd feel better. And I love college sports. I prefer college sports to pro sports. I would feel better if that were in place.
The problem is the money's coming in from all angles right now.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to, right? It's like, where is the money? And do the people who have the money want that? And if they don't, then who's going to do it, right?
Right. Well, what we do know is we're getting a bracket in just under a month. We've got a couple more weeks of regular season play, then conference tournaments. Do you have any bold predictions? I know you're a UVA guy. Do you think they have a shot?
At the national championship, probably not. I don't think we have enough. The last time we won in 2019, there was 5 pro guys on that team. So when you get down to it, you're like, oh, they play well together, they got good coaches. In the end, you got talent. You need talent. Do we have a shot? Could we make a run? Could we make the Elite Eight? Absolutely. We've got some. We have a 23-year-old freshman from Belgium, Tyson Ritter.
Why not?
Because why not? We got another 22-year-old who's playing in Spain. Johan Grunlow. We got some really talented guys. He was playing pro ball in Belgium. He's a heck of a player. I don't know that we have the horses to compete with a Michigan. Haven't watched a ton of Arizona out west. I did watch Iowa State, Houston. That felt like a Final Four game. And it was a great game. Calvin Sampson's a great coach. I like Houston a lot. They haven't been able to get over the hump, and I don't know that they have it this year. I don't think it's Duke's year. I watched Cameron Boozer, and he's every game he's 20-10. But nothing flashy or special. And if they couldn't win it last year with
Cooper Flagg and
Kahn,
Kahn,
and
Caden Proctor,
they were
all those guys, yeah.
So I don't know. I love the way Houston plays defense. I really do. So I'll stay with Houston right now. But again, doesn't it always matter how the bracket shapes up?
Yeah, for sure.
It's so
Just
much,
don't see Tom Izzo in the Elite Eight.
Right.
Don't get Michigan State. There's certain teams you want to avoid.
Yeah.
But right now, I do like Houston.
Yeah, I think Houston's great. The Big 12 is incredible this year. I mean, there could be. I saw something the other day. Kansas might be a lower seed in the Big 12 tournament than they are in the actual March Madness.
That's crazy.
The way that it's shaping up right now, I think it's going to be great. I think Texas Tech is a fiery bunch. I think they're really good.
Toppin got hurt last night. If you saw that, yeah, Toppin had a knee injury last night. JT Toppin.
He's been in college for a while.
Well, his brother Obi played.
I know his brother Obi with Dayton. And then it was New York Knicks.
Texas Tech is very good as well. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Who gets hot, who shoots the ball at the right time.
Yeah.
But I think it's actually kind of wide open this year. I don't think you're going to see, if Kansas is a 4 or 5 seed, and you're a 1 seed, you're UConn seeing Kansas and Darren Peterson.
I don't want to do that.
No. Who wants to sign up for that? So I don't think you're going to see straight chalk this year. I think they'll be a little bit mixed up. I don't know that you're going to get some crazy Cinderella runs like you referred to earlier, but I think you're going to see some interesting March Madness with some 2s, 3s, maybe even 4s.
Some good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go on to the last little section of the podcast, the rapid fire made by Jack Martin, who's not here today.
Jack.
But so we got a bunch of questions here. First thing that comes to your mind, say it. And Ben, why don't you start us off?
All right. First one, favorite food.
Hot dogs.
Favorite movie?
Caddyshack.
If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Freeze time.
Ooh, that's good. More sleep.
Yeah, anything, right? Work. I thought that went through.
Favorite part about Bernard's High School?
The kids, the students, all day.
If you could invite someone dead or alive to dinner, who would it be?
Abraham Lincoln.
It's a good answer.
That is a good answer.
Which actor would play you in a movie about your life?
Goodness gracious, that's a hard one. Let's go with Noah Wiley now. The Pit. Have you guys watched The Pit?
I've seen clips as we were talking on.
There's
on
a slight enough resemblance. He's stoic, maybe cynical, and I think I'll go Noah Wiley. That's a tough one. Though.
Okay.
Are you a morning or a night person?
I'm a night person. Oh, that's the one thing I don't like about my job. It's too early. I don't like getting that.
So change it. You have the power.
Change cell phones, start time. Actually, we might be staging the start time for next year.
I was hearing about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Favorite event that goes on at Bernard's High School every year?
It's going to sound cheesy, but graduation. There's nothing better than seeing the students who I've known for 4 years walk across that stage and celebrate like an awesome 4 years. I love graduation. It's a ton of work, but there's something super special about that day.
The best part about being a principal?
I lied earlier. I said earlier, I didn't lie. I said the students are the best part of Burns High School. The best part, the reason I love my job and I don't really want to be a superintendent. I have my doctorate. I could, is that I love this part of my job. This is why I got into education. I was a teacher at Ridge. I was a coach. I love the aspects of getting to know, what makes students excited. I love working with this. Like, this was the coolest thing that I got to do, right? And I didn't get to do anything. You guys did all the work. I just, wrote the checks. But seeing things like this and students like you find your passion, there's not many jobs that you get that level of fulfillment every day where you get to work with awesome young people who are passionate about something, making a difference. So that's why, I've been here for 14 years, and this is really, I don't have any aspirations to go beyond this. Not that I don't have aspirations for myself. There's other things that I could do professionally, but as far as what makes me happy and what I feel like I can add value, this is what I like doing.
And then if you
that was not a rapid fire. That's a hard answer. That
it was a great answer.
I'm so sorry.
That
was terrible on the timeline, but I guess I answered the question.
Then if you weren't a principal, teacher, coach, all the things that you've been, what would you be?
I've thought about that before. I think I'd be like marketing or something like that. I could make some commercials or do some advertisements. Yeah.
You could convince me to buy something.
I think so. Maybe with enough time.
All right. Well, that'll be all for today's episode of the Crimson Podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Andrew Tropp with Ben Balian. Thank you so much, Dr. Neigel, for coming on.
Guys.
And thank you for, everything, involving, your support of the program and everything. It really is great. So
I'm
thank
so
you so
proud
much.
of you guys. You're doing such a fantastic job. Every day is just, you guys are doing awesome. Appreciate you.
All right. Well, be on the lookout for more episodes in the near future, and we'll see you next time.